Hello and welcome to Pokésports. Yeah, it's it. Hello and welcome to Pokésports, a competitive Pokemon podcast. I'm Mike and I play with one Pokemon on the field.
I'm Kevin. It's been 3 weeks.
It's been 3 weeks. So welcome back to Pokésports. We took a little vacation, and you know what? We are still on vacation. It's
So, bye.
Yeah, bye. See ya.
See ya.
We're on. I feel like, man, how long have we done this podcast for? This is what, 5 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. We've taken breaks in between, but this is the first episode where we are invoking our right to a podcast mandated VGC vacation. Today, the V in VGC, you know what that stands for?
Vacation.
What?
Vacation.
No.
Oh,
Video.
shut up.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is that this wasn't an intentional vacation that we took.
No.
It's okay. The first week we planned, we're like, okay, yeah, we're going to Money in the Bank. We're going to be watching wrestling in Toronto. We won't have time to do a podcast. And then next week I got sick. And the week after that, Mike's computer got sick.
Yeah,
and
my
now
computer
here we are.
My computer caught whatever Kevin had, and it just didn't want to record a podcast. So it was like, hey, give me the week, and then we'll come back. We'll do it up. Also, I'm moving, and like I didn't want to have to commit the mental energy to having to figure that out among all the other things that I currently have to figure out. It's so annoying, man.
Yeah, this is the third time you're moving since this podcast's been alive.
Yeah, this podcast has seen 3 houses. It's nuts. I'm happy to do it though, but I mean, this last one wasn't even all that long. I've only been here like a year and a bit.
Yeah.
But we are currently on the hunt for the forever home, or at least the like next 10-year home. So ideally, knock on wood, knock on all the wood, that we will be stationed there wherever we go next forever. Yeah, stationed.
Mike's gonna hold the fort down.
Yeah, exactly. So the V in VGC stands for vacation. The G in VGC stands for, and I'm gonna need help with this because this is gonna be the title of the episode.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's got to be, and the people, they already know it.
Vacation
guys.
Good.
Vacation good. Vacation good, chum.
Vacation good, cool.
Vacation good, cool. Yeah, I'll go with it. That's fine. So today it's going to be a more relaxed episode. Very much, very chill. We'll talk a little bit about Pokemon. We got a little bit of Unite stuff that we can talk about. But I feel like Unite is such a polarizing concept in the Pokemon audience. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd say so. I asked a question on Twitter, and my responses were very polarizing.
What was the question?
Would people want to see Unite content if the VGC didn't go anywhere, like a Unite stream?
And what was the response was middling.
Very split. Pretty much 50-50. I made as many people happy as I did upset.
I think it was more, you made as much people happy as they were indifferent. There were a lot of people who were just like, yeah, whatever. You can, or I don't care.
There was an option for indifference. It's like,
oh yeah,
sure, why not?
If I recall, wasn't it like 30-30-30 pretty much?
It was something like that. Yeah, pretty much. It
was crazy. It was like the closest to an equal vote that I've ever seen.
Like, well, thanks, guys. Now I'm not any closer to my decision.
And then a stream didn't happen because partially because
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to make people upset.
So wow, it's actually been 3 weeks since we've done this. So we went to Money in the Bank. We haven't even talked about it on the podcast, did we? Okay. So Money in the Bank. We went to wrestling. Kevin came to Toronto. We went to an event. Do you remember, by the way, at one point in that event, there was this guy with like gray hair and a like really light colored suit kind of walking into the rafters below us. And I like kind of stood up and I looked down and I was like, isn't that? And then I sat back down because I was just, I give up. Do you remember that? No.
No,
Okay.
it's
So
not
that
who-
moment happened, the moment I just described.
Did you recognize somebody?
I did. I was like, is that Roz from the Roz and Mocha show and it's a Toronto based podcast and morning show. And it totally was.
Oh, look at
I
that.
was listening to the show while I was going to work the next Monday, and he's there talking with like his other co-hosts and his buddies there about how he went. He's very much not a wrestling fan, and he had the same experience as me. He was like. I got so into it. Like all the people around me were cheering for whenever they do their chants and their call outs. Like I ended up doing it too. I didn't even know what I was doing. They played like clips of like that one guy whose theme song goes like,
Oh, Sami Zayn. Yeah.
There you go. And like he was doing it too, and he had no idea what he was singing.
Well, I think it was great because in the middle of the show, in the middle of a match, even.
Yeah.
And I think it finally clicked in your head, and I guess it clicked in my head too at the exact same time. I just never realized this because I've just been a fan of the whole time. It was when LA Knight and Jey Uso were on the ladder, and yang each other. And then the crowd would just copy their punches with yeet, yeah, yeet, yeah. Mike was like, this is a cult. I'm in a cult, and I don't mind.
Yep. It is the most harmless cult that I've ever seen. And it promotes good values, and it promotes friendship, and it promotes healthy conflict between others. And that is
resolved through fists.
Resolved through through confrontation is how it's resolved. And that is beautiful to me. I would imagine that there are a lot of people who are like very conflict avoidant who love wrestling because they're like, this is how I get it out. This is how I resolve all my conflicts is I just watch other people, beat the crud out of each other.
Go through a ladder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor Chelsea Green was so close. Went through a table. It's Tiffy time.
And they set up the narrative and they brought the drama and everybody was into it. This is like, have you ever seen a stadium? Imagine a stadium of people watching The Bold and the Beautiful. Like that is that is what wrestling was. You just see these people sitting there, they look up, they have these like little cut scenes every now and then of these guys like backstage just kind of like hamming it up for the camera, like talking about their beef and whatnot. And everyone's like, oh, I know that story. I know the backstory behind this.
They do a really good job live of catching people up that have absolutely no idea what the story is with like a really good vignette.
Yeah. But they didn't resolve the was it Jey Uso? No, it was who's the previous champ? Damian Prince, right?
Yeah. Priest,
right? He was talking with this one guy who was like, "Yeah, whatever you say, boss," and they did like this like slow zoom on his face. Like he was gonna do something.
Finn Balor.
I always thought he was gonna like come running up during the title fight or something, but no.
It's still not resolved because he still hasn't. That's kind of like a little foreshadowing that someone's gonna turn on somebody in that faction, in that little group. It still hasn't happened to this day that he still hasn't turned on Damian. So we'll see.
You tell me when it does, and I will watch that.
I just want to see what happens.
I want to see it. I'm hooked. I haven't watched like an actual wrestling thing since, if there has been, but I'm now of the mind where like if it ever comes to town, I'll go. If I ever find myself in the town in which it's happening, I'll go. But like there's no reason for me not to go and watch it.
It's just a good time.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of pretty colors and ladders breaking.
Yeah. Uh, so after that, what's our timeline here? So this is like 3 weeks ago. After that, Kevin had a bunch of vacation,
Yeah.
and he squandered it.
Wasted it all. Yeah. Nah, I went to the beach a couple of times. I spent a
Nice.
lot of it playing League of Legends, unfortunately.
Mhm. Got it out of your system.
You know why I started playing? It's because I was sick. And when I got sick, I was like, I don't know what else to do with my life. I can't leave my house. It hurts to get up. I'm going to sit at my computer and do something else that hurts me mentally.
Yeah, you wanted to feel as bad mentally as you did physically. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to match my freak, you know?
To match my freak. Okay. And how was your experience with that?
It was all right. I mean, I as much as I talk bad about League of Legends, it's just because it is a really good game and it is very fun and it's very addicting, and then that's my problem with it. There's nothing wrong with that game, except maybe teammates. But you could say that about any game that requires team cooperation.
Yeah. Yeah, we can link this back to Unite in that way too, where like one of the better things about League of Legends and one of the worst things about League of Legends is the fact that it has a communication system. Like, if you want to have a good time, play with 4 other friends and like turn your brain off and do not think about doing well or don't think about doing poorly. Just go and have a good time. But if you're playing solo with 4 other people who don't know you, who have carte blanche to say whatever they want, they will. And that can get tiring every now and then. And people can ping and people can, type nasty things in chat. And like that does weigh on you after a while. And then you start being the toxic, and not you, Kevin, but like you, the person.
Yeah.
Being like, well, now I don't feel good. And now I see my lane partner do something that I don't like. And now I'm going to be the one pinging and I'm going to be the one saying things. So
now I want to play League, Mike. This is stop.
How did that make you want to play League?
You said lane opponent. And I started thinking about playing 80 carry and support. And stop it. That's the thing. It's the same thing with Unite, though. Unite's just blessed by not having a chat system, but there is voice chat. No one uses it, hopefully.
No one uses it. Unless everyone's been using it, and we've just been like, yeah, what? Nobody uses this thing.
Weird. My team is rotating without me.
How's my team so coordinated? They almost be friends. No, I mean it is, and that's to Unite's detriment that there's no way of having like a good chat system in there. You can't coordinate what's going to happen. You can't like talk a teammate off a ledge if they're like really beefing
intentionally.
Can't confirm that they are or are not a person.
Soft feeding.
Right, exactly.
The thing with Unite that I've realized, because I did spend a lot of the vacation playing Unite too.
Yeah.
Because one of the problems I have with League of Legends is that there's a lot of time commitment. You have to spend a lot of time in a game. Like once you enter a game, from start to finish, you are spending 45 minutes to an hour in that game, from like team select all the way down to breaking their nexus. Unite is a little bit kinder about it. It's like, okay, 10 minutes go. So I play a lot of Unite when I didn't have time to play League.
Right.
And the more I played Unite, the more I realized that not Zapdos, Rayquaza is the only important thing in that entire game.
Yeah.
It's crazy how 10 minutes of a game is determined by one team fight. Like, that's crazy to me. Because coming from a League of Legends perspective, it's just like League of Legends, you can lose Baron 4 times before losing the game. You can bounce back, there's still other objectives you can get. It's not, okay, get Baron, win game. It's get Baron and maybe get 2 towers, 1. It's not anything crazy like that.
I mean, it's true. And as much as we wanted to, deny it at the beginning, they're like, oh, it's not all about Zapdos. It's not all about Rayquaza. It very much is. I mean, your Pokemon can be under-leveled by the time that you hit Rayquaza, and that makes it a problem for you. But again, that's still proving the point that it's like, yeah, you're still building up to that moment, though.
That
Like,
moment is pivotal. This is the most important moment of the game. Get there.
right.
Yeah.
The first 8 minutes make it easier for the last 2 minutes to happen, or harder, depending on how well your team is doing. But I mean, that's kind of cool too. Now that once I accepted that, it made the game a lot more fun for me, because I'm like, okay, I don't take every death to heart at the very beginning of the
That's
game.
also fair.
You
Yeah.
can catch way up later if you just have 1 or 2 good team fights.
The rubber band snaps hard in Unite.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
compared to other games, it snaps hard. You can be very far behind in Unite, steal Ray, and win the game in like the
Right.
last minute.
And so Kevin and I have been looking recently, like as recent as about an hour before this podcast, at a couple of different sites that really get into the stats and the descriptions of Pokemon Unite. Those 2 sites being unitedb.com, unite-db.com, and uniteapi.dev. That's a new one that Kevin introduced to me a little while ago. Again today.
That one's for usage stats.
Yeah. I love anything that has usage stats.
Yeah, very akin to Pikalytics for those that only play VGC.
Yes, right. So let's talk about Unite API. My favorite page right now is the meta page, where it just shows all of the Pokemon, their win rates, their pick rates, and their ban rates.
I think how many games does this look at? 172,235 games analyzed. Last updated July 21st. So it's very frequent. That's
Yeah, that's 4 days.
It must be like once a week or something it updates.
It's got to be. So yeah, just looking at, I really like to just look at the win rate and the pick rate. The ban rate, you have to be like a certain level in master, and at that point, like
1400 master.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll let you know when we get there. We haven't gone and put ourselves there yet.
We also haven't tried.
No, correct. I do think that we could do it based on the fact that we do get to master every time, and then we just kind of stop.
Yeah.
So
we get our nice T-shirt, and then we're like, okay.
Yeah. we get our T-shirt. We say, all right, see you next season. All right, so we've got the top few win rate Pokemon and the top few pick rate Pokemon. Kevin, you made the observation that like some of the Pokemon that overlap in these 2 categories like mean that they're particularly good. Pokemon that picked a lot and they win a lot because of that, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you got the majority of people picking this Pokemon and those same majority is winning with that Pokemon, that means that Pokemon is pretty cracked.
Right.
It's not just a bunch of one tricks bumping up the win rate. It's no, people are playing this because they can and they're getting wins with it.
Right. And it's also cool to see like they list it by how like the percentage change week over week before they show the current week. So like the number 1 Pokemon right now in the pick rates is Charizard, and it's up 36% from
nuts.
last week, up at 48% pick rate. So
talk about a patch buff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So like nearly half of all teams are picking a Charizard. That's wild. So in the top, let's say the top 5, all right, in picks, we've got Charizard, Slowbro, Ceruledge, Pikachu, and Delphox.
Okay.
And then in win rates, we have Zacian, Ceruledge again, Ho-Oh, Slowbro, and Gyarados. In 6 is Delphox, which I thought was kind of interesting because, Delphox and Ceruledge are both in the top 6 wins.
And Slowbro too. Yeah.
And Slowbro. Yeah. Which kind of probably means that, these Pokemon are just played a lot.
Yeah, those are the meta ones.
With win rate, it's interesting because you're not going to get, because the wins and losses, because it's a binary ending, like everything's going to be in and around 50%.
Yeah.
And it's just like trying to eke out those like 3 extra percent.
This is where I'll scroll all the way to the bottom, see what Pokemon is the hot garbage right now. Okay.
That one's interesting. Okay. Because
I'm surprised.
And before we get into it, with win rate, I want to say why that one's super interesting. Because the top win rate is Zacian at 53%.
Uh-huh.
So if you're playing any one of those Pokemon from 53 to 50%, you have like a 1 to 3% chance more of being the reason why you won the game. But there are Pokemon that make it so much harder for your team to win, because that goes all the way down to 44%. It's not that 3% above. This is 6% below.
That's a big dive.
So the 5 bottom Pokemon for win rates, starting at 44%, going 45, 46, 44, 45, and 46. We got Blastoise, Gengar, Tyranitar, Glaceon, and Sylveon.
That's crazy. Those are all Pokemon that I consider to be somewhat decent. Like, if I saw that in my team selection, I wouldn't bat an eye. I'd be like, okay, it's a Blastoise in my team selection. It's a Sylveon there. Not a problem. But apparently, I guess you're throwing if you click those.
I've seen a lot of bad Blastoises, I will be honest.
But you know what's funny, too? We were looking at the tier list on Pokemon Unite. Pokemon Unite DB lists Sylveon as an S tier Pokemon. And here it is.
Yeah.
And here it is not at all.
This would suggest that it's not. Now, what that might suggest to me, though, is that Sylveon is there not because it's bad, but because people are looking at the tier lists, seeing that Sylveon is like top, and then really trying to play it.
Yeah, it might be it too.
And that could be the same for like most of these Pokemon underneath 50, is like they look at the tier lists, they play off of the tier lists, and they're like, okay, this Pokemon's S, this Pokemon's high A. I'm going to play that, and they really have no business playing those Pokemon.
So we could also play a new game with this. We can look at pocket picks by looking at the worst pick rates and then seeing how they compare to the win rates. Because I looked at Duraludon. Duraludon's coming in as cold as possible at 2.46% pick rate. That is the lowest picked Pokemon in this game currently.
But when you do pick it, you have 1% more chance to win.
Yeah, it's not the worst. It's in like the top percentile of win rates. It's not a bad Pokemon, but people don't pick it. That's interesting.
But then there are also Pokemon like, well, I guess Greedent is kind of in that same sort of category, where Greedent is like a 0.2% away from 50%. It's 49.8, but its pick rate is its second lowest.
And then if you got Pokemon like Phalanx, whose pick rate is 4.51, and then its win rate is 47.59, it's time to get that refund, man. You can't. You're gonna have a hard time.
So if you're trying to figure out like statistically what Pokemon you should get, that's up on Unite API.dev. I would say right now it looks like it's either Ceruledge or Delphox.
Yeah.
However,
if you haven't gotten Charizard yet, you get a Charizard too.
Yeah, right. And that is with updated usage stats, right? So this is on the 21st. The last patch was on the 16th. Yeah, that's there. And then the ban rates, I can't wait to actually get into that world and just see what that's.
What's crazy is that we just talked about how bad Phalanx is currently.
Yep.
It's the third most banned Pokemon in the game.
Right?
It's like it doesn't have a high pick rate, doesn't have a high win rate, but for some reason people don't like playing it. Maybe they ban it from their teammates. Maybe that's
There's such variance in like people who play this game, right? There are people who play it mobily. There are people who play it on controllers. There's people who play it in, veteran tier. There's people who play it in master tier. There's people who
take it seriously.
Like high master tier. There are teams that are in this data set. Like this is everybody on Unite. So like it's just very much an average. I'm curious what the like top like 100s.
That's fair. This probably does look at like beginner games too, right? For 172 games analyzed, sounds like maybe some veteran and lower are taken into account now. I don't actually know. But if that's the case, you can make the argument that Phalanx is a lot harder of a Pokemon to play than Slowbro, for example. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got different forms, you have different moves on each form. It's complex. It's not an easy Pokemon.
Right. What's the best EX Pokemon that's out there right now. Because right now there are 5 EX Pokemon. There's Ho-Oh, Mewtwo X, Mewtwo Y, Miraidon, and Zacian.
Let me see pick rate. Because if we're just looking at win rate, it's Zacian.
Right. Right.
What's pick rate? Not a lot of people pick. Okay, well, here's the thing: pick rate for EX Pokemon is always going to be lower.
Yeah.
So we have to ignore that because you're only allowed 1 per team. So you're limited there.
So I guess it just has to be like the first one on the list that you see.
I'm curious. I see Miraidon at 5%. I'm just trying to see where Zacian is. I know Zacian would have been higher. Zacian's at 7%.
Yeah.
It might be Zacian right now.
Okay.
Miraidon probably a close second. Miraidon has a higher ban rate than Zacian. 22% ban rate.
So when you get really good at Pokemon Unite, ban Miraidon or pick Miraidon.
Or be the Miraidon.
Be the Miraidon you want to see in the
world. I don't own any EX Pokemon in Unite.
Neither do I.
Maybe I know why we struggle some.
Yeah, there are games where we don't go in with an EX Pokemon, and we totally can. And they're built to be a little bit better than all of the others, I think. So maybe we should be doing that. So now I'm on Unite DB.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the tier list that we've got there because I was just looking at the EX Pokemon. There are currently 6 Pokemon sitting in what Unite DB calls the S tier. Now, if this is actually true or not, that's kind of up to interpretation. If you're really good at a B, C, D, E, F tier Pokemon, you can still make the difference in your team. But S tier Pokemon, as said by Unite DB right now, Blaziken, Cramorant, Mew, Slowbro, Sylveon, and Umbreon.
I could see Umbreon. I could see Slowbro.
Mm-hmm.
I can even see Cram and Blaziken. For me, Mew kind of feels a little meh. Doesn't feel S tier to me. But.
Yeah. I think people who like main Mew feel really good with Mew right now.
Yeah. And Sylveon I'm surprised by. Because we just saw that it's apparently not doing that great. Yeah, it's not doing that great. But here it is in S tier. I don't know. It is a very one-dimensional Pokemon to play. You really just scream in one direction and then run towards them. That's pretty much what Sylveon does.
Kind of.
But yeah, I don't know.
Blaziken is... I've seen a ton of Blazikens in my games. I do kind of want to pick it up and try it, but...
Blaziken's very akin to Set in League of Legends. Okay. It's something that I've noticed because I played a lot of Cho'Gath because I was playing top a lot when I was playing League of Legends, and I went up against a lot of Sets. It's the same kind of concept.
Grabs, stuns, and big punch.
Yeah, big punch that gives you big shield. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they very much just made that. I made the observation earlier that it looks like, is 2 original Pokemon are still here in the S tier. We've got Cramorant and Slowbro, which is wild to see because I remember a meta in Unite where it was like all defenders were.
It was horrible.
Tank meta was real in Pokemon Unite for a little bit. I feel like that turned a lot of people off more than.
You remember Crustle? When Crustle used to run Score Shield and just run it down with Shell Smash, and nothing could stop it. Nothing could stop him from just scoring 1,000 points. And it's like, okay. Man.
I was that Crustle.
Did I just give you a Unite itch? I'm sorry.
I mean, talking about it always gives me the Unite itch. Yeah. I've never tried Mimikyu. I really want to try Mimikyu.
I would recommend it. It's really fun.
Really?
Yeah. It's really fun, and it does a lot of hurts.
Cool.
Listen, I'm just saying Unite has a good deal. You get 3,000 gems for only $30 right now.
See, this is how advertisers need to pay their podcasters and content creators. It's just like, hey, talk kind of casually about this game and then just casually drop in that there's a really good deal going on right now. Just have a real, but that's like false advertising.
Only out for 4 more days.
Uh-oh. Come August 1st, we were not sponsored by Pokemon Unite. But we will talk about Ho-Oh. Because Ho-Oh is a new...
It's Ho-Oh.
Ho-Oh is a new Pokemon in Pokemon Unite, not sponsor. And as we do every now and then, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about this new Pokemon, break down its abilities, its attacks, its Unite move, its abilities, all that good stuff. So let's start with its passive ability, Regenerator.
Much like its actual ability.
Yeah. If this Pokemon doesn't take damage from enemy Pokemon, wild Pokemon don't count, for 3 seconds, it will recover 4% max HP every other second.
So every 2 seconds. Thank you.
Every 2 seconds. So in 4 seconds, you get 8%. In 6 seconds, you get 12%, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Until you're full.
Yeah. Until you're full. That's not bad. It's not like crazy good.
It's great for like consistent farming. Like you don't ever have to bet base for health. You're just going to sit there and farm until it all comes back.
Yeah. The fact that wild Pokemon don't count for that, is really cool, that you can just kind of go into the jungle and be like, all right, I'm going to go collect experience in a different way for a little bit.
It's interesting that they labeled this. Oh, never mind. I was going to say they labeled this as a physical attacker. It is a physical attacker, but this is by far a defender. This thing is tanky. Like I've sat in games trying to knock this thing out. Not easy.
Okay. Ho-Oh's auto attack becomes a boosted attack every 3 attacks, shooting out a sweeping flame that deals increased damage and restores HP per enemy Pokemon hit. While firing the sweeping flame, Ho-Oh's movement speed is decreased by 30%. So
more heals.
This is part of the reason why we're saying that Ho-Oh is so tanky right now, is because its survivability is just off the charts. It has built-in healing with its attack.
It says it's while firing the sweeping flame, Ho-Oh's movement speed is decreased by 30. Okay, so that's the drawback. So in order to get health back, you're going to be a little slower.
Right, yeah. And then Ho-Oh starts with 2 different moves, as do all Pokemon except Mew. No, all Pokemon do. Tailwind and Safeguard. Safeguard creates a protective field around the user that reduces the next incoming source of damage by 50%. When this field reduces damage from an attack, the user's movement speed is increased by 40% for 3 seconds. So this is like a way around your movement speed decrease that your auto attack gives. This gives you an extra shield, gives you extra movement speed, soaks up an attack. Like that's good.
It's not horrible. Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then its other move is Tailwind. Whips up a whirlwind in a designated direction, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon hit. The whirlwind then remains on the field for 5 seconds. Allies moving in the same direction as the whirlwind have their movement speed increased by 30% as long as they're in the field, and lasting for 5 seconds after stepping out. 0.5 seconds, important distinction, after stepping out of the field. Opposing Pokemon moving against the whirlwind have their movement speed decreased by 30%, lasting for 0.5 seconds after stepping out of the field. That's really good.
Very interesting, like first two, because it's like, yes, they're both very good, but they're not very offensive.
Right.
As your like first 2 basic moves. So that might be a way to keep Ho-Oh a little bit more toned down for the early game. So it's not like Ho-Oh is just tearing through a bunch of baby Pokemon. So I can appreciate that. Thank you, Unite, for not giving it Fire Blast turn 1 or whatever.
Right.
It is.
Right. I do find it interesting that like it doesn't really fit a single archetype between those two moves. It's not like use Safeguard and then use Tailwind, which a lot of Pokemon have that issue. It's like you use one before you use the other. This one's like, okay, if you stay back, you can fire out a Tailwind and support your team. Or if you get jumped, you can use Safeguard and protect yourself from whatever's going on.
Yeah, on your way out.
So let's start with Safeguard here. Move 1, Safeguard. That can split into either Fly or a Fire Spin. Both at level 7.
Flyer Spin.
Flyer Spin. Good for you. Very good. Fly. The user begins flying high above the map for up to 8 seconds. This is Dragonite so far, right?
Okay.
The next 3 basic attacks are boosted attacks. So that's the one that slows you and heals you as you attack. While flying, the user is able to move freely over walls, and its attack and movement speed are increased by 30%. So again, these like conflicting boosted attacks plus movement speed increases. If the move is used again, the user lands, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon around the landing zone and canceling the attack and movement speed bonuses.
Okay. It goes up, then it goes down.
Yeah. And then level 13, it increases the flying time by 4 seconds. So that's a total of 12 seconds, which is kind of wild. I don't know, like getting that Aurelion soul, fly up high and go over stuff. That's kind of cool.
Okay. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
I mean, it works, but I don't know if
I'm underwhelmed by that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if obstacles really make too big of a diff in
the map's small in Unite. I don't care about obstacles. Yeah, I'll go around.
Yeah. Well, let's see if fire spin's any better. Level 7. You generate a blazing vortex around yourself and gain a shield. While the vortex is active, Ho-Oh slows itself by 40% and cannot attack.
Ew.
Yeah, not good so far. The first time an enemy interacts with the vortex, they receive an 80% movement speed decrease, decaying by 10 seconds every 0.5 seconds over 4 seconds.
Ew? Ew?
The vortex also deals damage to enemies. If allies are within the vortex, 50% of damage to those allies that they would take is redirected to Ho-Oh instead.
Oh, so you're able to just eat hits. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good. It's good for your team.
If there is a shield after 4 seconds, or if this move is used again when the move shield is intact, a heat wave is released around the user, dealing damage to enemies and additional damage equal to the percentage of the damage the shield received. Oh, wait a minute. There's a 1.5 second delay between before the shield may be detonated from the start of the vortex. If the shield is destroyed before detonation, no damage is dealt. So, if you use this move in a team fight with 4 of your allies as they're taking damage, say like a big Ray fight, right? They start getting hit by other Pokemon. They only take 50% of the damage. Your shield takes that damage, and then you explode the shield. That deals that damage to anybody inside the circle.
And it's worth noting the damage from the heat wave is 300% of your attack. So take your attack multiplied by 3, essentially. Oh. That's crazy. Okay, yeah, this sounds better than the 90% attack that you get from Fly. I'm not too keen on Fly. Fly's nice for like mobility, I guess, but I don't know if Ho-Oh's job is to be mobile. Ho-Oh's job is to eat hits and tank. Like that seems like what Ho-Oh's job is. And then revive your allies when they go down. Well, we'll talk about that later. Right. But yeah, I think this definitely wins for me. I think Fire Spin wins.
The shield that you get is 30% of your max HP, which is obscene.
And your base HP at level 1 is 3,400. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
At maximum, okay, at level 15, your base HP is 9,900 on Ho-Oh. That's without any emblems and any items.
So you get a 3,000 point shield
without emblems and items. Yes.
Right. And nuts. just to put that into perspective for you, a Cramorant, let's say, has 6,301 HP by level 15.
15? Oh, God.
Yeah. So
you are 30% more than a Cramorant.
Mm-hmm. And then at level 13, when the shield is broken, the heat wave is now automatically released.
Nice. Less thinking.
Mm-hmm. So now you just run into team fights, set up your shield, and then make sure your shield gets broken.
Let the game do the rest.
Let the game do the rest. And again, you said 300% attack.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I don't know why they even made Fly at this point. Fly looks really underpowered compared to this.
Maybe that's why they just kind of copied Dragonite. They're just like, I don't know, whatever. It has wings.
Usually they try to make them somewhat, you could have this, but you could also have this. This is just like, oh, would you either go over a wall or be God? Which would you rather do?
Do you want to win or
you want to fly over a wall?
Right. So that is Fire Spin and Fly. Yeah, Fire Spin to me is the clear winner, and if I play through that, when I play through that, I'll let you know how that goes. Now, for Tailwind's upgrade choices, we've got Flamethrower and Sky Attack. Flamethrower is a ranged attack. Blow flames in a designated direction, dealing damage to enemies, hit every 0.25 seconds, and slowing Ho-Oh's movement speed by 15%. Why are they playing around with the movement speed so much? This move may be held for up to 4 seconds to blow flames for longer. Okay. The move's cooldown increases the longer flames are blown for. Cool. If enemies are hit, the user recovers HP. If enemies are hit thrice, they are burned, refreshing on additional hits of Flamethrower. Oh, okay.
This is the very Aurelian Soul move right now, where you just kind of
right
while you go. Yeah.
You just go while it does. Yeah. Burned enemies take damage over 3 seconds at 0.5 second intervals. Burned enemies also have their movement speed decreased by 15% for 1.5 seconds. Their attack decreased by 20% for 2 seconds, and their special attack decreased by 20% for 1.5 seconds. Enemies burned by Flamethrower will leave behind a scorched area. Enemies traversing the scorched area are slowed by 15%. So if you burn an enemy and they're walking away and other people walk through the burn, they get slowed.
Yeah.
So if you're burned, separate yourself somehow.
Run.
Enemies that touch the area will also receive burns, but this burn will not spread the scorched area. Okay.
Okay, so it doesn't infinitely stack. That's good to know.
Right. And then at level 11, it increases the length of time flames may be blown to 5 seconds from 4 seconds. So you get a 1 second increase at level 11. Yeah.
Seems kind of meh. I mean, I'm looking at the damage and the healing and the burn damage. It's 45% of your attack, 20% of your attack, and 20% of your attack. So it's like, it doesn't do a lot of damage at all.
Right.
In fact, it does less damage than an auto attack does, technically. Right? If it does 45% of your attack damage.
What do the builds aren't there on Unite
Nah,
TV
it's
yet.
still too early.
It's still too early. The other one is Sky Attack, and I'm trying to figure out if they're trying to say like use Fire Spin and Flamethrower, because it's like toss up your shield and do big damage, or do like some damage. Toss up your shield and slow the enemies. Maybe wait until your shield expires and then have it explode on them. I don't know. Let's see if Sky Attack is the other one though. For Sky Attack, Ho-Oh spreads their wings and charges in a loop. Well, I don't like it already. I don't like moves that have its pathing determined for me.
Oh.
While charging, deal damage to enemies hit and burn the ground along the flight path for 4.5 seconds. The burning ground deals damage to enemies that touch it every 0.5 seconds and slows them by 30% for 1.5 seconds. If this move is used again, I think I might like it now. If this move is used again, or if another move is used mid-charge, then the user stops in place.
Oh, so you can stop yourself from going in the circle. Okay.
Yeah. During the flight, Ho-Oh receives 30% less damage. And then at level 11, while Ho-Oh is on the burning ground, gradually restore HP.
And then this one does 150% of your attack damage, which is a lot more. Yeah.
Which is quite a bit. I think this is the one.
Yeah.
I think the move, the ambush move, the initiator, if you will, is Sky Attack into Fire Spin.
Sky Attack in the middle of a team fight has to be a good option too. It's a very soft engage. It's like you're not hard engaging on them, but you're creating an AoE that if they do try to run, they will get punished for it. Mm-hmm. So you're almost forcing the commitment from the opposing team. It's interesting.
Basically, so Ho-Oh is mother. You go into the team fight, or you can go in like at the beginning, or you can go in at the end, right? You do your Sky Attack, you do your little, because it goes in like an oval if you let it finish.
Loop. Yeah.
It goes out and then it goes back in. But as you go out, if you go into the group of 5, you can stop there by either stopping the move or using your Fire Spin. So you can just like plop yourself right in the middle of the team. If you're initiating and everybody blows their attacks on you while you have your shield up, congratulations, you've just done a bunch of damage. If you are coming in late, if you're coming in as the last Pokemon, then you can go in and do something really cool with your Unite move called Rekindling Flame. You get it at level 9. When a nearby ally is knocked out, a feather is left in their place until they respawn at base. When Rekindling Flame is used, Ho-Oh spreads their wings and consumes all of the Aeos energy. Oh, it does use all the Aeos energy. Held to revive knocked out enemies where their feathers are. Rekindling Flame may only be used if there are feathers nearby. Ho may revive one ally per 10 energy spent.
Okay. So you have to give up your dunk points.
You got to give away your dunk points.
I don't know if that's a good thing. That's a good trade, I guess. Like you could win a team fight by giving up some dunk points, but at the same time, you're giving up your dunk points.
Ho-Oh seems to have some pretty decent mobility with that sky attack though. So I do think that like your energy will not be as much of a problem as it is for like other Pokemon. Right? Because as you're diving in, you're collecting all that energy, right?
Okay, yeah, fair.
So you could.
And if you get KOs, you get it all back, right?
Right. I mean, hey, like getting a Pokemon back up on your team, getting a teammate back up is always helpful.
You can you may revive one ally per 10 energy spent. So if you have 40 energy in, you can revive your entire team technically.
Yeah.
It's 4 other players. Yeah. Okay. So you have 50, you definitely can revive everyone else. What's interesting here is that you also get another 20% max HP shield.
Mm-hmm.
That stacks on top of your, what was it, 30% max HP shield? Yeah.
Yep.
From the fire spin.
You get so much. Ho-Oh plays around with HP and movement speed like nobody's business.
Yeah. That's all it does.
That's all it does. It does so much of that. That's wild. Anyway, I do want to try out Ho-Oh. I think that could be kind of cool, but I feel like people could get used to that. People could get used to seeing a Ho-Oh fly in, use its shield, and then just like, all right, everyone ignore the Ho-Oh for a little bit. Don't touch it. Wait until fire spin's over. Because fire spin only lasts for like 4 seconds.
If it's glowing, don't touch it.
Yeah. If the Ho-Oh is glowing, get your hands off of the controller. Just leave it down. Don't worry.
It won't do damage unless you hit it.
It can't hurt you if you don't hurt it.
All right, we got now patch notes.
Sure.
A lot of patch notes.
True. From all the times that we haven't talked about them, patch notes do come out every month. So
we have about 6 months of patch notes to go over, guys.
At least. But no, we'll just talk about the July ones that happened about about a week ago. Basically, Charizard got a massive buff. All right, like this
buffed
is
everything.
This is the highlight of Charizard, right? It was just
they released a new skin. They wanted us to buy it. Yep. Mm-hmm. They sure did.
They increased Fire Punch's damage. They increased Fire Punch Plus's cooldown reduction. They increased Flare Blitz. They increased the shield that they get. They buffed Seismic Slam. Now it can be used against unstoppable targets.
Oh my! That defeats the purpose of unstoppable. You are now stopped.
You've stopped them.
You stopped the unstoppable. What is happening?
Row, fight the power. Like that's wild. I can't believe that they're doing that with so many Pokemon. They're doing that with so many Pokemon to the point where it's like, what does unstoppable do?
Yeah, now it's pointless. Congratulations. But honestly, unstoppable is a very stupid thing that existed to begin with.
Maybe they shouldn't have done it in the first place.
Yeah, maybe they should have not even considered that a thing.
Mm-hmm. Chandelure has been buffed minorly. You don't see a ton of Chandelure. Buff. You don't see a ton of Chandelure out there right now, and you're still going to see not that much Chandelure out there. Ceruledge was also buffed, and Ceruledge did not need a buff.
They buffed everything.
Yeah.
They didn't need this. This Pokemon was already annoying me in my games.
Weak Armor gives more. Weak Armor is the passive ability, I believe. that gives more attack ratio than it did before by like 50% more. That's crazy.
Even your auto attacks were buffed. What? How do you
Lifesteal
buff an
received
auto
after
attack?
evolution increase. It used to have 15% lifesteal with its auto attack. Now it has 20%.
This
Bitter
is not
Blade.
okay.
Bitter Blade recovers more. Bitter Blade Plus recovers more. Psycho Cut's base damage was or base defense reduction was increased. Phantom Force's cooldown reduction when hitting a target increased by 10%. Flame Charge increased the speed that it gives. So now Cerule Edge is faster. Somebody looked at Cerule Edge and was like, hey, you know what?
I
That
like this
Flame
guy.
Charge, not fast enough. Doesn't really feel like you're charging.
God, guys, go buy Cerulege. Like, geez, this is what you should spend your Aeos gems on. Just this Pokemon. They buffed it everywhere. They buffed it more than Charizard.
Yeah. I feel like right now it's Cerule Edge, Ho-Oh, and Delphox. Those are the three big ones in Unite for the July patch. Delphox, on that note, was also buffed. Got a big special attack ratio boost to Blaze from 60 to 81. Base damage was increased by 75 damage. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. 50% increase to that base. Fire Blast had its cooldown reduced by 0.5 seconds. Fire Spin had its cooldown reduced by a second. So like
that's a fire spin every 6.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Without, black emblems being used, which can get that all the way down to like 5 something. So that you're just spamming fire spins in the middle of fights.
Dude, you only have 10 minutes to play this game. That's 600 seconds. Every second counts in this game. All right. So when they reduce something by a second, you're getting like that many more attacks in. There's actual math to figure that out. But yeah, and I mean, they made a bunch of other little bug fixes, little boosts, little buffs, little nerfs. Miraidon got a nerf finally for its cooldown reduction that it gets across its levels. Before it used to be 0 to 5 to 15 to 25 from like level 1 to level 15. But I guess they found that was a little too much. So they were like, okay, you know what? 0% cooldown reduction from levels 1 to 3, 5% cooldown reduction from levels 4 to 8. That stays the same as it was. But 9 through 12 was 15, is now 10. From 13 to 15, it was 25. It is now 20. Like, they're like, all right, you know what? Maybe this Miraidon needs to use less attacks during its 600 seconds on Earth.
And there was a developer letter that went out saying that through the next couple patches, they're going to try to downtune EX Pokemon to be at par with other Pokemon and then just remove the whole EX system entirely. So we're probably going to see a lot more nerfs. We saw nerfs to Miraidon here. We're seeing nerfs to Mewtwo X and Mewtwo Y in the same patch. Ho-Oh doesn't seem to be broken. At least I don't think it is from our conversation today. So hopefully, I mean, I'm happy that they realize the X Pokemon are a problem.
Yes.
Forcing players to buy 1 of 5 Pokemon just so they're not at an immediate disadvantage is a little scummy. And I'm glad they're going back on it and trying to like just level them all out and tune them all to the same playing field.
Yeah. It's about time. And how about you give us ranked for every, or not ranked? How about you give us draft for every
honestly
ranked battle?
I wonder why they don't. Do you think it's just because of time? I don't know.
You know what? If I'm honest, I think it might be because of bandwidth.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I feel like they want to get players in the game as quickly as possible, and draft it does slow down the game. And it forces you to be like, take the game a little more seriously. And I don't think they really want all of their player base to just be people who, are really trying to be the top of the ladder.
I think they should at least have it for like Ultra and up, right? Ultra, I feel like if you're in Ultra tier, you're better than the average player.
At the very, very least, Master.
Yeah. Right? not master 1400. It's like,
Right.
okay, you've already grinded to master. Now you still can't play the way the game intends to be played,
Mm-hmm.
or the competitive is intended to be played. Because that's how they do it in tournaments, is with draft and bans and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's Pokemon Unite. How was this vacation for you, Kevin? Do you feel rested?
Yes, I'm awake. I've woken up.
Yeah.
I've learned about all of the health benefits of me drinking water thanks to ChatGPT. Shout out to the Preach.
Shout out to the Preach, where we go on the largest tangent about water. You can go and check that out at patreon.com/Pokésports. We can go and check out some other stuff as well. Kevin Tryharding Teams is over there. And if you want to see a place where Kevin plays some fun teams, you can do that over on YouTube at youtube.com/Pokésports as well. If you enjoyed the vacation and you think that a friend might enjoy the vacation, you can go and share this podcast with them. And if you really, really feel inclined, you can do something about the fact that you like this podcast by going on to Apple Podcasts and leaving a 5-star review, which is very, very helpful and helps us out with the algorithm that we know absolutely nothing about.
I play a Spide Ops later today if you want to check that out on YouTube. Not just a Spide Ops. I play 6 spiders.
Oh, they're
Full
all
spider
spiders?
team. Yeah, you didn't see?
I didn't notice.
Yeah,
I
they're all
didn't notice, and
spiders.
now I will. Wow.
Okay, just for making it to the very end of this podcast, I got you. I'll go ahead and give you guys a little quick. Oh, there's no paste. There's no paste.
Oh.
So I gotta open the rental code in the video. Jeez.
This is a sentence that you and toddlers across America are frustrated by.
Speak slower. I'm almost there.
Oh, there's no paste, they say at the daycare center. Mrs. Terwilliger, there's no paste.
Okay, I'm there. Never mind, it's loading. Okay. Galvantula, Araquanid, Metagross, Spidops, Giratina, and Heatran. Those are my spiders.
Yeah, those are all spiders, huh? Okay. Well, if you want to go see some spiders, go on over to youtube.com/Pokésports. Folks, I hope you had a great time listening. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us on our vacation up by the sea and by the sun, and not with the video game of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's the SpongeBob nose flute. Yes. You said by the sea.
Oh, okay. Got it. I had to
take you there. I'm sorry.